Welcome to my video on UCIHAR Dataset, the Human Activity Recognition using Smartphones Dataset. I am Abhay Bedi, and in this video we shall discuss this dataset in detail. Your phone can tell if you're walking, sitting, or climbing stairs, but how does it actually know? Behind that simple step counter is raw sensor data, careful pre-processing, and one of the most widely used benchmark datasets in activity recognition, the UCIHAR dataset. Let's first understand the background of this dataset and how it was recorded. From 2012 to 2013, researchers at the Università degli Studi di Genova designed an experiment to answer a simple question. Can a normal smartphone reliably recognize everyday human activities just from its built-in sensors? They recruited 30 volunteers between 19 and 48 years old and asked each of them to perform 6 basic activities: walking, walking upstairs, walking downstairs, sitting, standing, and lying down. During all of this, each person wore a Samsung Galaxy S2 smartphone firmly attached to their waist. Inside that phone are 2 key motion sensors, a 3-axis accelerometer, which measures how your body is accelerating in the X, Y, and Z directions, and a 3-axis gyroscope, which measures how quickly you're rotating. The phone recorded these signals at 50 measurements per second, while each subject performed the 6 activities, and the experimenters simultaneously recorded videos so they could label exactly which activity was happening at every moment. Instead of feeding the raw signal directly into a model, the researchers cut the continuous data into short overlapping windows of 2.56 seconds with 50% overlap. For each window, they computed a rich set of 561 features in both the time and frequency domains, things like mean and standard deviation of acceleration, signal magnitude, and spectral energy. Each of these feature vectors was then paired with an activity label, giving us the human activity recognition using Smartphones Dataset, or UCIHAR. How to get this dataset? UCIHAR is a publicly available dataset. You can find it by simply searching for it online and downloading it in your computer. For example, you can go to the UCI Archives website and download it from there. You'll also find details about the dataset, such as dataset characteristics, associated tasks, and how the dataset was recorded as we just discussed. Alternatively, you can also get it from Kaggle. However, the import for this dataset through the UCIML-REPO in Python is not possible at the moment, since this dataset has not yet been made available for import. Now let's discuss the training and testing split of this dataset. The dataset is already split into training and test sets by the creators. About 70% of the data is used for training, which corresponds to 7,352 samples collected from 21 subjects. The remaining 30% is used for testing, with 2,947 samples coming from 9 different subjects. An important detail here is that this is a subject-independent split. This means that none of the individuals in the training set appear in the test set. This design choice helps prevent data leakage and makes the evaluation more realistic, since the model is tested on completely unseen users rather than familiar movement patterns. Now let's have a file-by-file tour of the UCIHAR dataset. When we unzip the dataset, at first we have the readme.txt file, which contains the official documentation of the dataset with details like what it explains, how the data was collected, sensor details, etc. After that, we have the activity_labels.txt containing a mapping between numeric labels and activity names. In the features.txt file, we have a list of 561 feature names in the dataset, like the example shown here, which is tbody acc-mean dash. We shall discuss the meaning of this in the next file. Why it matters is because each column in xtrain/xtest corresponds exactly to one feature here. This file tells you what every column means. In the features_info.txt file, we have explanation of each feature name in the features.txt file, how the 561 features were engineered. It contains meaning of naming conventions like T means time domain, F means frequency domain, body ac means body acceleration, and so on. Now let's look more closely at what's inside the training and test folders, because this is where the actual data lives. Starting with the train folder, the most important file here is x_train.txt. This file contains the input data for our machine learning models. Each row in this file represents one 2.56-second window of sensor data, and each column corresponds to one of the 561 engineered features extracted from that window. These features summarize the raw motion signals using statistics from both the time and frequency domains, making the data much easier for traditional machine learning algorithms to work with. Next, we have the y_train.txt file. This file contains the target labels for each training sample. Each row holds a single number between 1 and 6, and this number represents the activity being performed during that time window, such as walking, sitting, or laying. These numeric labels are mapped to human-readable activity names using the activity_labels.txt file in the main dataset directory. Here, when we visualize the X-train and Y-train files together, we get a labeled distribution graph that shows each activity plotted against the number of samples available in the dataset. From this visualization, we can see that the dataset is fairly well balanced overall, with no extreme class imbalance. However, there are still some noticeable differences. Laying has the highest number of samples, while walking downstairs has the fewest. This gives us a good idea of how evenly the activities are represented before training any model. Alongside this, there is the subject_train.txt file. This file tells us which participant generated each data sample. Every row contains a subject ID, allowing us to track which person performed each activity. This is especially important because the dataset uses a subject-independent split. Finally, within the train folder, there is the inertial signals directory. This folder contains the raw time series data collected directly from the smartphone sensors before any feature extraction was performed. Each file in this directory corresponds to a specific sensor axis, such as body acceleration along the X, Y, or Z direction, and so on. Now let's evaluate the UCI-HAR dataset using the FAIR data principles, which stand for findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. Starting with findable, a simple online search leads directly to the UCI machine learning repository, where the dataset is clearly named, well-documented, and easy to locate. So we can confidently say that the UCI-HAR dataset is findable. Next is accessible. The dataset is publicly available and can be downloaded directly as a zip file without any registration, password, or special permissions, which is what makes it accessible. Moving on to interoperable, the dataset is provided in plain text format, which can be easily loaded into most programming languages and data analysis tools such as Python, R, MATLAB, or even Excel. Its simple structure and clear separation of features makes it interoperable. Finally, we have reusable. The dataset includes detailed documentation, clear feature descriptions, and well-defined labels, which makes it easy to understand and reuse for different experiments. It has also been widely used in research and education, proving its long-term value and reliability. Overall, we can conclude that the UCI-HAR dataset is fair. Now let's look at the strengths and weaknesses of the UCI-HAR dataset. One major strength is its strong performance with classic machine learning models. Algorithms like SVM, random forest, and KNN routinely achieve accuracies above 90%, showing that the dataset is well-structured and informative. Another strength is its clean labeling and subject-independent train-test split, which leads to fair and realistic evaluation. Finally, the dataset offers both engineered features and raw sensor signals, making it suitable for a wide range of modeling approaches. On the downside, the dataset was collected in a controlled laboratory environment, which limits real-world variability. It also includes only 6 basic activities, so it doesn't capture more complex human behaviors. Lastly, although the fixed phone-on-waist position reflects a common real-life case, like carrying a phone in a pants pocket while walking, it can reduce robustness compared to other phone placements in scenarios like texting while walking. Thanks for watching, and make sure to get your daily 10,000 steps in, and when you check the same on your phone, now you know which dataset is behind it.